Hey everyone, this is GKCS. Today we have Kirti Purswani as our special guest. She's a very well-known system design and algorithms person. She's also collaborated with us for a few low-level design questions, which if you have not seen, you should definitely check out. It's on Kirti's channel and my channel both. So today we have a new system design question that is on the high-level design of Zeroda.
About Zeroda, I also don't have much experience in stockbroker apps, but I did the low-level design of Zeroda on my channel a few days ago. So I studied a lot about the app at that time. So the high-level design will be very interesting to do. So, and you are the right person for it, and this is the perfect channel for it. So I thought, why not?
Let's start with the Zeroda then. Okay, so Kirti, could you tell us let's take the situation of us trying to design Zerodha. This is going to be more of a discussion than any kind of a mock interview or, me trying to spin some sort of trick questions because I have little experience on stockbroker apps and also we have planned this as a discussion. So could you
Yes.
tell us, what are the capabilities of Zerodha and therefore what are the things that we are looking to design?
Right. So first, let's see when we open the app, what is the first thing that we see? The first thing that we see is actually watch lists. So basically, there are some specific stocks that our clients or the users really want to, analyze, or they want to see how the stocks are doing on various parameters. So they save like lists of some stocks and they name the list according to them. So these are called watch lists. So as soon as you open the app, at the top you will see some data that how is NSE BSE performing, and your watch list data. So this is the initial data that you see. Now from there you can also search the data of any stock, so any one particular stock, and from there you will be able to see the performance. So basically weekly performance, monthly performance, and all that. And of course, one very very important part is the market depth, where you will see that how various stocks are doing, and for each stock, like for in the market depth, you'll be able to see that how many orders are being placed by people, and people are ready to sell or buy at what price. So how many orders are being placed at what price, and details like that. From there you can buy or sell. So I guess that will be the most important part in our system, buying and the selling the stocks, obviously. Then quickly also mentioning the portfolio, because this is actually your holdings. So how many stocks you have already bought, the details of that. I think these are the main things that we are going to see. We are going to talk about. One more thing is there is something called order book, where you can see all your orders that you have previously placed, and also trade book. So there's a slight difference between trade book and order book. So one order can constitute of various transactions, and you can see the transaction level in the trade book, whereas you can see the order level in the order book. Am I able to, explain this in easy terms, or should I talk about something a bit more? What do you think, Gaurav?
I think they sound very financial terms, but I am getting the rough gist. If I try to make it into extremely layman things, watch list, like I think you already mentioned some of these, but they're going as a bouncer for me. Watch list is the stocks that I'm interested in. Show
Yes.
me those lists. Okay.
Yep.
Uh, Weekly and monthly stock reports are like, did it go up, go down?
Yes.
Is that okay? Market depth, I kind of didn't get
Okay.
that.
Okay, so let me talk about this a bit more. So whenever we want, I am no expert in stock trading. This is just the research that I have done. So whenever we want to buy or sell a particular stock, right? So okay, let me first talk what is Zerodha. So if this is our client, this is us, and there are some stock exchanges. So there is NSE, BSE, basically National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange, and here there are
FTX also.
brokers. Yes. And we cannot make the transactions, like basically buy or sell stocks directly with stock exchanges. It has to be via some intermediaries, and brokers are those. They have to follow some process and all that, and we make the transactions through these brokers. So Zerodha is this, basically it is a middle person. So Zerodha, what it is doing is it is basically taking the orders for us, and it is placing the order to the stock exchanges.
Okay.
That's this much is clear, right? Now, Zerodha is not the only stockbroker app. There are many others like Upstocks. There are many stockbrokers also, right? So, all the people, like everyone who is placing the orders. So basically, say there are 100 people from Zeroda, there are 200 people from, say, Upstocks. Just like some random examples, okay, 500 people from Zeroda, 200 people from Upstocks. And so in this, when you are trying to buy or sell the stock, you should be able to see all the, like, how many total orders are being trying to, like, how many people are trying to basically buy or sell the particular stock, not
Okay.
just through Zerodha, but in total, in market.
And who watches this? Common people like me, or is it the government, or like why do you need to know how many people are buying or selling this stock? Is it common knowledge?
Yes, it is, because in order to make a decision that you want to buy or sell, you would want to analyze that how many other people are buying or selling. If you are buying, then roughly at what price are people selling, and will you be like, is this the correct price? There's also, when you place orders, there's something also called limit price, market price. We'll get into the details of that, but the point is that you want to analyze that how market is performing in general, right? So you want to see that how many other people are trying to place the orders of the stock that you want to invest in, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. Interesting.
you basically see market depth. So different apps have like different ways of showing this, but exactly what happens is basically the orders that are being placed. So you will be able to see the number of orders and at what price that they are trying to buy or sell it. So when you decide to buy or sell, you can just see accordingly and make a decision that I want to buy these many stocks at this price, or I want to sell these many stocks at this price. Does this make sense?
Roughly, yes. Yeah.
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 Okay. Because buying and selling is a very, very important concept over here. And I guess that will be the important point that we'll be discussing today. So let me quickly talk about, when we buy and sell, what exactly happens.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
So whenever you are trying to buy or sell, you have to make some choices. Like, are you going to buy or sell to BSE, NSE, like for the stock? Then are you buying or are you selling? Then how many stocks do you want to buy or sell? Okay, so stocks number basically. And another important parameter is at what price. Okay, so there are different ways by which you can mention the prices. I don't want to make it too complicated right now, so I'm just mentioning two small things. There are other ways also. One is limit order and one is market order. So in market order, you're essentially saying that whatever is the best deal in the market, just buy or sell at that price for me. Very clear, right? Like nothing, like no rocket science over here. You're just saying whatever is the best deal that I'm getting in the market, just buy or sell at this price, at right now, whatever is the price in the market. You will be able to see the price in the market depth, right? Now, limit is a bit tricky. Now, let's say the current price of a stock is 100. Okay. Now, the price is going up and you want to sell the stock. So you know that the price is going up, but you don't want to keep on checking again and again. So you're going to say that whenever the stock price reaches 105, just sell it. Okay, so you're setting the
Okay.
limit price is 105, and you're telling Zerodha, or basically the exchange, that whenever the price reaches 105, just sell it. So now it can also be possible that it actually gets sold at 106. That doesn't matter, but this is the minimum threshold that it should reach, after which your order should get placed. So at
Okay.
least
So
this
there
much
is some
profit
sort
I
of
want.
a correct. So the one is just do it now. The other one is trigger based. If there is a particular price that's being hit. Okay.
Exactly. So this
Okay.
I told the example for selling, right? Similarly for buying, say the price is right now 100 and you want to buy at a lower price and you can see that the price is actually going down. So instead of checking again and again, you can just say that whenever the price reaches 95 or 98, just buy these many stocks for me. So that is called limit price. You're putting a limit over there that whenever the price reaches this much, just make the transaction for me, or the order should be placed.
Okay. Makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how we can actually make this work.
Actually, see
Because like you mentioned, yeah.
the interesting thing over here is that Zerodha doesn't have to make the transaction. Zerodha doesn't have to see that the order will be placed among who people. It just has to tell uh, the exchanges that these are the number of orders that are coming, and the exchange will tell you all the data that okay, now this order is placed, so many transactions happened. Okay.
Interesting. So Zerodha is just basically the broker is just making requests to the exchange, and the exchange gives a yes or no response.
Yes. And in terms of high
Okay.
level system design, the major, I think, thing that we'll have to discuss about is that how do we, see that the stock prices are very regularly updated, because they change very, very frequently in terms of like seconds, fractions of seconds. So we have to make sure that, the this is updated, the price is updated, and also all the orders that are being placed. So as I said, that Zeroda is just one broker, there are other brokers also. So everyone who is placing the order, I should be able to see all of those in the market depth.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Let's see. One final thing, Kirti. Sorry. What is the order book and the trade book? You mentioned it, but
Yes.
is there a simple way to put it?
Yeah, so I was just about to discuss this before we get to the high level system design part. So, say we are saying that I want to sell 100 stocks. Okay. Now, out of that, it is possible that 50 got sold to one person and another 50 got sold to another person. Or say 70 got sold to one person, 30 got sold to one person. It is
Okay.
possible. So these are different transactions, and exchange is doing this for us. We don't have to like match people and all that. That is not our thing to do. We just tell the exchange that this is the order that we want to place. Now exchange is going to do some transactions, and it is going to return to us like, okay, so these transactions have been placed. Okay, so your order is basically fulfilled. Now it is also possible that your 70 stocks were sold and 30 were not sold at all. So that's like a partially fulfilled order, I think, right? As far as I understand. So in order book, you will be able to see your orders, whereas in your trade book, you will be able to see the transaction level, that within this order, how many transactions happened. On a very, I guess that's the easiest way of putting it.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. So what you asked for versus what actually happened,
Yes,
roughly.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Can we?
Interesting. Yeah. Let's go for the high level system design. Let's draw some message queues and make this work. Yeah.
Yep. That is the part, right? Because we just want like the data to be updated very, very quickly, and we want the data to come from server. So basically our client is not requesting for it, and the server should send all the data. So yeah, that is the first thing that comes to our head.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the best part nowadays is when you're working for a startup, you know that message queues aren't free. That's the only thing I should say. Yeah.
Speaking with
Well,
experience.
yeah. No, but let's try to take it from a very simple architecture to, let's say, a little more complex. Okay, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is there are certain APIs that are probably being exposed by the stock exchange, and here there's some interesting trivia for folks who don't know much about stock exchanges. Uh, you actually can't just go and talk to a stock exchange. You need some sort of permission from them beforehand, and the permission, I think, is in crores, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty expensive permission, just like you can't take spectrum and make calls. Despite you being a citizen and all that, you have to buy spectrum from the government. Just like that, you have to buy these lines, communication lines, to a stock exchange. In my limited time at Morgan Stanley, I used to hear these stories of if you want to get an exchange license, want to make these orders, at the exchange, then you pay some money, but also they can't be partial to one company or to one broker. So what they do is, if you have a machine close to their exchange machine and another person has a machine a little further away, they take the same length of wire for all of them. And the nearby machine, they take the wire and they coil it around to make sure that it is the same length, and then they attach it to the plug. Basically, everyone's wire length is the same, so that everyone, when they make when there's an update, the update will reach them roughly at the same time. And when they make a order, then all of them are basically the algorithm wins, not the person closer to them. So, and plus
Wow.
it's guarded by, these guards and everything. Like, you can't enter the server room and all that. So it's interesting. If Zeroda, I mean, Zeroda of course has a license for this. So what they must have done is they purchased this license, and they must be speaking to the exchange over the wire. So they must be making some API calls. Uh, like you said, all the buy and sell orders taken care of by the exchange. Any kind of any kind of source of truth is actually with the exchange. So that simplifies our design to some extent.
Yep.
We are just a broker. Yeah.
So if these are the exchanges over here, our main thing is that there is to be, one service who's going to take care of just updating all the latest prices. So there should be one service whose major role is that responsibility is that get all the latest values from the exchange and update all the servers that need this data. So this is the first thing that we have to do: get all the latest all the latest stock information, right? So this part should obviously be done by WebSockets, according to me. What do you think?
Well, WebSocket would be bidirectional communication.
Uh,
And
so I
WebSocket
use
also has this inherent thing that the communication may not be very. It's like I can speak anytime I want. While here, I think like every second you want to ping, or I don't know what is the pinging frequency, but it seems like uh, yeah, like just make pings. Yeah,
yeah.
every second I'll.
Yes. So server sent events is another thing, which I guess is is
Okay.
a better way because it's easier to maintain and easier to implement than WebSockets. Also, I'm guessing that can be another reason, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, or how about just making these calls to the stock exchange saying that give me data, give me data, give me data. And I don't know whether the stock exchange provides this API. It should be very sensible for them if they don't want to overload the system, which basically says, I want to create a connection with you, and every few, I mean, every second, give me all of the data which has changed, right? Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hammer your system. You are going to feel sad about it, and it's not good for me either. I have to take the delta of all the stocks and see if there's a change or not. You tell me if there's a change. Like that would be really nice. If they could give an API like that, that would be really good.
But don't you think polling is very unnecessary over here because the client to server request is not at all needed? We know that this information has to be updated, and we are just bombarding the client to server request for no reason at all. And it has to be updated in terms of like macros of fractions of seconds, right? So,
Yeah.
so it does make sense
So
to have like server to
uh,
client communication instead of client to server.
correct. No, no, I totally agree with you. If it is possible, because it is such a common use case, and any sensible stock exchange should probably have a mechanism by which if people come and say, give me all your updates in the last, I mean, whenever you have an update, just give me the update. Tell me the stock and tell me the new price.
Right.
So I pay you a couple of crores. Now the least you can do is give me a decent API. That would be my thinking. But if they don't have it, then yeah, then I can think of polling. Do they provide WebSockets? I don't know. The problem with any polling or the problem with anything, any kind of update that we are trying to look into, Kirti, is every time you make a call, many calls are unwelcome calls. Like basically, the stock exchange may not have any updates to share, so they are wasteful. The second thing is, instead of the stock exchange telling me what are the updates, I am taking the data, checking the delta of the stock prices, then saying, oh, something has gone up, something has gone down. So I'm doing all the heavy weight work on my side. Instead, it is so easy for
Uh,
the stock exchange to just send me the changed stocks. Yeah.
But don't you think there is like a lot of updates because stock prices like vary like a lot, and like there is a lot of
Yeah.
data that is updated. So maybe there can be like a combination that polling plus WebSockets maybe for some stocks, or maybe for like stocks that are part of watch lists, data is being polled, data is being sent by WebSockets. But the other stocks that are not in part of like watch lists, maybe those are sent by polling. Maybe it's a
It's
combination.
possible. Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. There might be some stocks which are being constantly updated, and some stocks which, um, like
Don't
you
change at
poll
all.
and then I'll give you. Yeah.
Right, right.
Uh,
So maybe a combination, and maybe like our service itself takes care that these stocks should be like when we are doing maybe the handshake of WebSocket, maybe you can mention that for these stocks, send me the data by WebSocket or SSE, but for the rest of the stocks, I'm going to poll. So maybe this service is going to make that decision that which all stocks are like, I'm going to poll the values, and for which all stocks I'm going to like, have them by WebSockets or SSEs.
Since we have some concern here in terms of the amount of data that we are sharing per second or per minute, do you want to do some sort of a capacity estimation here, which says how many stocks are actually there in the stock exchange? How many are listed?
So there are 5,000,
1,000?
I think. So I think we should
Okay.
be designing for 10K.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Interview ready might come any second. So 500 companies. And
Oh, wow.
EdTech
This
is
is an
growing. Yeah.
announcement, guys.
This is EdTech growing. So 10K into, let's say, the updates are small, maybe 10 bytes, 50 bytes. Yeah. Okay. So 10, 50 bytes. So 10K, 10K, 10K. Okay. And how many folks must be having licenses? 100, 200, or are the thousands? This is Gaurav showing his ignorance.
I could see 1.2 crores. So,
That looks like Zeroda's number.
yeah.
Or people who do trades. ICICI might be connected. Big banks might be connected. I think it must be around 1K, 2K.
2K
Let's take
what?
10K because 10K stocks. Okay, yeah, every person has a license. Sure. No,
Okay.
10K is too much. Way too much, I think. 1K, chalo, 1K le le.
Yeah, number of stocks? 1K.
No, 10K is the number of stocks, but the people who have a license, I don't think will be even 1K. But let's take 1K, sure.
It will be
The
much
people
more
who
than
have
1K.
no, so we are, one is the users who are connected with Zeroda. One is the brokers, companies, which are talking to the
Oh,
stock
okay.
exchange directly.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
that will be
Then,
like, I
then
think
to 1K. Yeah, yeah.
1K is a lot. Yeah, but sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So we
and
have
from each,
100 MB.
yeah, and this is like from one broker, right? Like to the stock exchange. I think we should be seeing
Yeah.
like from one broker itself how much is coming.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the National Stock Exchange, NSE, saying that, Kip, I can't send all this data. So how much is the data? 100 MB. Uh,
That they can say.
2 Gbps, dude. It's nothing. I mean, if you can send basically 20 updates with this. So 20 updates, which is like every five, or rather every 50 milliseconds, you basically have one update being sent. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yep.
So yeah, just take all the data and just send it across. You can make it much more efficient. If you're the National Stock Exchange, you can just send the delta, the change. So then the bandwidth is much better utilized. But 20 updates sufficient for us.
Great.
So yeah, we
Yep.
don't need to make any optimizations. We just boom
Yep.
send
Yep.
all the updates. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Awesome. So now, let's say this service. What do we call this service? Uh, Price manager, stock price manager.
Yeah. I guess this is the one which is pinging the stock exchange to get the prices. Yeah, sure.
Or maybe exchange connector or something.
Yeah, I think you can call
This
it
is
price tracker or
okay. Okay, fine.
watchdog.
Price. What did you say? Price what? Price tracker.
Tracker. So
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah,
So now this service has all the latest prices from this exchange. So now
right.
there will be a lot of services that we'll be talking about, which will need to be updated from this price tracker. So I'm guessing our message queue, our dearest message queue, is going to come into picture over there.
Okay.
Okay. Let's that is on this side of this service basically. So let's talk about the other
Okay.
services that are going to happen. So basically there's one that is I'm going to be I'm thinking order manager. So this is the service who is going to receive all the orders that buy or sell. And there's going
Yeah.
to be
Okay.
other information like, what is the exchange, at what price, what is the stock name, and how many. So basically, number of stocks. So basically, yeah, stock name, basically stock details, just not name, stock details, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So this service is going to get or get the order. Now from here, we will need to validate the order. Like my low level design also looked very, very similar to this. So I'm just talking about, I'm just making services out of the classes right now. So here there is going to be, actually this is a very, very important service in any stockbroker app, maybe risk manager or validator, whatever you need to call it. So we are here talking about, like, we are not talking about the intraday trading, right? But when it is intraday trading, we need to do a lot of validations, like, can we let the user go ahead with this particular order? Like, does the user have enough funds or enough stocks? In very, very simple terms, basically we have to put those checks. So here we can call this basically risk management service or validation service. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. No, again, I'm just going back to the time when validations are so important. Entire companies, I'm talking about entire banks, okay, with hundreds of employees, are sometimes gone overnight because of this. Like, you think layoffs are bad? This is, it just finishes off the entire company without any warning. The reason being that there's some code which goes on buying some stock. You're gone. Okay, you might think, oh, this happens rarely. It's pretty common. And
Yeah.
one of the one of the stories that I remember is the Facebook IPO, which was basically a stock exchange thing. The IPO happened, the stock is now available. Uh, Somebody had written some code that if the stock price goes below a certain price for Facebook, go and buy the limit price that you said, Kirti. So they made limit orders and there was no validation check. And what happened is there was no TCP acknowledgement coming from the stock exchange at that time. So they made the order. Stock exchange is like, okay, tried to send a acknowledgement, didn't work out. So they retried 50 times. And stock value goes soaring up. The bank is like, oh my God, I need to sell. And people started buying because the stock value went up. Everyone started buying. It really went up. Then the bank sold. Then everyone's like, oh, this stock can't be trusted. I don't know what's going on. Everyone started selling. And it was a total failure of IPO. So I remember that example where you need a validation service, and you need a validation service obviously very fast also. People
When
used to
was
show
this
off that
again?
hours. This is, I think, 2012 or
Oh,
2014.
okay. Okay.
And that's when validation services became a thing, at least in the investment banks. So they used to say that this works in 10 nanoseconds, this works in 20 nanoseconds, 20 nanoseconds. Okay, must be a if statement, yeah. Sure, yeah. But okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we know the importance of validation service now. So some
Yes.
validations are going to happen, and then after that, we are going to go ahead and place the order. So basically, there has to be one order executioner, the, like, where are basically, placing the order is actually going to happen. Now, so actually, this price tracker is not the only service that is going to talk to the exchange. There's also going to be the one that is going to be placing the orders, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know
You'll
what to
be
call this.
not just tracking the orders, but you'll be placing the orders also. Okay.
Yes, yes. So here we have to, like, place the order. This like exchange is going to return all the transactions like that happened, and then we are going to have to update them in the DP. So that is the rough, like, basically how the process is going to happen of buying or selling.
Okay.
What do I call the
But
service?
I mean, how do you? So the order execution service, what is it talking to exactly?
So basically, after the order is validated, see here, from here we are going to, so the responsibility of this particular service is going to be to place the order to the exchange, and in return of that we are going to get like a list of transactions, whether the order was successful or whatever the status is. Then we are going to come back over here, and the order executioner is like, sort of a callback. It's going to update the DB and update the rest of the things. Now when I think about it, here we talked about WebSockets and SSEs, right? When it came to the price tracker, but maybe even over here we can, when we are talking about placing the order, we could also do that over WebSocket. Why am I saying that? Maybe like, we open the connection when we place the order, and then we wait for the response that okay, whenever the order is placed, you send me the status. It doesn't have to be like REST API. It can be, because it might take like some time to execute the order or the status, like after that. Otherwise, when the status is updated, we would have to be sent like notification, or how do you think the order status would be sent to us with the list of the transactions, especially in case of limit order? Market order, it will be executed almost simultaneously, but in terms of limit order, which might be executed after a while, even maybe in terms, there's something also got like, it can also be executed like after days, not that day itself, limit order. So there is something called GTT, that let's forget that. But the point is that it can be executed today or later. So how do we get the response of that, and how is the status updated from the exchange to our database?
Okay. Okay. Do we need a separate service for that? Can we have it in the order executor? I
Yeah,
mean,
so executioner.
the
Yeah, so
reason that I do, yeah.
yeah. So that was what I was saying. So whatever this service we are going to call it, the role of responsibility is just to talk to the basically to the exchange, so that we have like one
But
service whose responsibility is to like place orders to the exchange, and the responsibility of this service is going to be to update our DBs, to update the statuses, to let all the other services know that okay, this has happened, to update the portfolio, watch list, all of that.
okay, okay. So let us now see why the service boundary is such that we have to split it into two. Uh, are there, as a business use case, is the the peripheral service, that one which is talking to that stock exchange, what is the need for it? It talks only to one service, which is the order executor. It is heavily coupled in terms of its use case. So if tomorrow you remove the order executor, you have to remove that service also. If you refactor something there, you have to refactor something here. So as a business need, it looks like one thing to me. So maybe we can put them together, because the database updates that have to be made related to order execution are taken care of by the order executor service. Talking to the stock exchange is something that the order executor service should be able to do directly, in my
Um,
opinion.
I personally like keeping the roles of responsibilities separate, sort of like LLD, because say now the service is doing a lot of updates in the DB, and something goes
Okay,
wrong and the updates are taking a lot of time, and
okay,
this service goes out of memory or something happens. At least if DB updates are not able to happen, or say our cache update is not able to happen, at least we are able to process like the rest of the orders to the exchange, which is actually the
okay,
major role of the entire system, to place the orders to the exchange. So I
okay,
don't think we should be risking the service going down because of some other reasons like DB or cache or anything else. And there should be like a service that is placing the orders to the exchange. Do you think that's a good enough reason?
I think it's bringing in some separation, which is not really necessary. The reason being that if you separate out these two services, what's also happening is the logic is being pulled away. So if there's a deployment here and there's a deployment there, and this client version is different, then this guy is going to talk to a API. That API might break when you're testing these two services. Instead of testing them together, we are now going to have one service being tested and the other service having its own tests, and then again in staging you have to test them. When
Okay.
somebody's, yeah,
So for
when
now,
there's a
maybe.
teammate who's, yeah, sure.
I got your point. So maybe for now we can go ahead with this, and we will see later if we again feel any need that okay, it is better to keep it separate, then we can maybe get back to this point.
Sure, sure. Of course.
Uh, do you want to quickly discuss the DP, like how we are going to store the values over here?
Yes. So if there's an order execution service, uh, what kind of data will it need? It will need an ID for an order. Like you mentioned, is it a buy or a sell order? Is it which exchange is it going to, NSE or BSE? The price, the details of the
Number of
stock may not be
stocks.
necessary, just the ID of the stock. Yeah, number of stocks and the stock ID. I think
And
this
also
is
order
sufficient.
type, like limit, market, all of that. So order type.
Okay, okay, interesting. Do we have a limit? I mean, order type. Mm. So this is interesting because there are limit and there is another one, uh,
Market.
that market. So
Market.
should the order executor, so the order executor service, to keep it simple, I was just thinking of, it doesn't even know that there is this kind of logic involved. It's basically about just execute. And the order manager service can say that, oh, a trigger has to be added. Fine, I will, with the price tracker I'll be talking, and the price tracker can tell me that, these are the changes. The moment a trigger has to be hit, I will go and talk to the order executor. Or yeah, I mean, now I'm starting to think that that delay might be too much. Why is that separation? Order executor can talk to price tracker, right?
Yeah,
With,
so
if
when
the
I
order
was,
type is
yeah,
there in the
yeah.
order executor.
So the list of services, like, that so this is sort of like PubSub. So this is like,
Hmm.
so the services that are going to subscribe to the price tracker, I think order executioner should be one of them for sure. So if this is our
Yeah, yeah,
message queues,
absolutely.
so this should also subscribe, and probably even validation service, or maybe I am not sure, but there are going to be a lot of services that are going to need the latest prices like watch list, portfolio, all of that. So
Mhm.
all of them will subscribe to this, the price tracker. So this is the message queue, and this is the subscriber. Price tracker is the subscriber, and this is the publisher. Sorry,
Got it. And
opposite.
validation service. Huh. I mean to say, validation service is the order executor going to be talking to it more? I guess both can be talking to it. Maybe the validation service is like a rule engine. You
Sorry,
will
what?
you
Can
are you
you
allowed to make this kind?
can you
So the
repeat that?
validation service, yeah, the validation service, it seems to be something which helps tell us whether this order should be allowed or not. So, do you want it during execution also, or do you want it just during order, when the order book is being updated?
I think one way to go about it is that order manager sends to validator, then validator goes ahead and sends to executioner instead of like coming back and then sending it again. Like, maybe it is on the way that you
Okay,
send to validator, and only if it is validated, you send to executioner. That is one way to go about it. Like,
okay, okay.
I don't know, if you really don't want separation of services, you could actually do the validation with an executioner itself, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess you're right. No, but then let us say it is a separate service. Let us say, that there are different services which have different kinds of validations needed. Like you mentioned, some of them are limit orders. Some person, maybe the validation service also sees profiles. Like, this person is not a terrorist. This person is not,
yes, yes.
transferring money illegally. So
Yeah.
maybe the validation service is all about uh,
Yes.
giving
So,
validations.
yeah,
So
so users,
okay,
basically user management service, whatever that is going to
Mhm.
be there. So it is going to talk to the user, check the number of funds, the number of stocks, basically the portfolio and the funds and everything. It is going to see and then validate.
okay, okay. So maybe it caches some of that data saying that your balance is this.
Yes.
Okay, that is interesting. Let's see how we can keep consistency there. But
Yes.
validation service. So my thing would be, if the order manager is talking to the validation service, I think it should get the response. And when it gets the response, it talks to the order execution service. Because otherwise, the validation service needs to be a little extra smart on, who do I need to tell the result,
Yeah, that's
or you can
why.
put it in the message queue. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also, yeah, sure, go ahead. Sorry, Kirti.
Uh, the role of manager I thought would be to to actually see how to place the orders and all. Yeah, they can be like a queue that okay, limit orders are placed in one queue, but that I don't think is really needed, because a broker really doesn't have to care whether it is limit order, market, or whatever like it just cares that it's an order and it has to be placed. So it doesn't make sense to have like different queues. But I also think that order manager should be the one who should be sending the request to the executioner and not the validation service.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Simplifies the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Coming back to the DB part, here, since the number of attributes is very very like we know that these are the number of attributes, is not going to change a lot, and they're going to be a lot of queries in terms of order book, trade book. So it does make sense to have a SQL DB, right? Like MySQL or something,
Yeah.
relational DB.
Yeah. Looks like a transaction. This is the place that it
Yep.
shines.
Yep. Right. So relational database over here. So,
Yeah.
right. And since we had already mentioned about caching, I started thinking about it, and there are a bunch of things that we need, that that are very read heavy and that are not at all write heavy, like watch lists. As soon as we open our app, the first thing that we see is watch list, and it is rarely, like, it is updated very less, but it is seen like a lot. So it does make sense to maybe uh, cache it somewhere, watch list. So there's obviously going to be
Yeah.
a different service for watch list, right? And there has to be a cache over here, I think, for watch list.
Okay. So
uh,
you want to cache to separate. You have kept it separate for. You want a global cache. Okay.
I'm thinking out loud. What, like, am I thinking in the right direction? There should be a cache for watch list. Do you
Yeah.
think it should?
It looks like a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Redis, like, key value storage,
Yeah.
store all the
Redis
okay.
cluster. I think Zeroda actually uses Redis also. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. They
Redis
they
over here.
mentioned it a few times that to reduce the latency, they use some Redis cluster, and
Okay.
basically, from what this is me paraphrasing them. They use Redis as a database only. Like most of the queries they want to send to Redis, some which they can't send, it goes through the DB.
Okay.
So the
Which
watch
other
list, yeah, is
which other thing do you think is very read heavy and not write heavy? Which do you think it will be better to have like a cache? One is watch list. Do you think it makes sense to have portfolio also cached?
yeah. Portfolio also seems like a good place to cache things. I wouldn't be very concerned about read heaviness or write heaviness in this case, because if you have a cluster, a cache cluster, the chance of you losing a write is quite low. So it depends on the caching policy you have. If you have a write through policy, then you have a highly consistent cache also. So
Yep.
it should be fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what policy they use at Zeroda, but if I were them, I would probably use a write through policy, and if it failed, then I would just return a failed response, or I would retry till the cache got populated. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So if we are talking about cache, what all things are we caching? Like, so we are caching watch list, and what else? Portfolio.
yeah.
Then,
Portfolio is also something they're caching. Another
then.
interesting thing here is if the cache crashes, or you're bringing up a new node in the cluster, you're adding a new node because you're making a lot of money. Okay, sure, let's have a new node with new keys. So in that case, some sort of algorithm which balances the load equally is a good idea. So because losing cache entries is not something you want to do, you want to leave all these algorithms to the caching solution like Redis. Redis provides consistent hashing. We can use that also.
Okay. So we can use consistent hashing of Redis itself. So I'm not mentioning
Yeah.
it over here, but yeah, good thing to mention in the
So
interview. Uh, Also, auto executioner is going to be talking to the portfolio, because whenever we get this status, the portfolio also has to be updated, right?
yeah.
Uh, We started talking about it, but I don't think we reached a conclusion about how the order status is going to be updated. Like if we have placed the order to the exchange, say limit order or market order, after a while we are going to get the response that the order has been placed. These are the transactions. So how is that communication going to happen from the server to the order executioner?
Yeah, it looks like somebody needs to set up these triggers saying that the order executioner needs a way to tell that I am interested in these stocks being updated. Specifically, I'm interested in these stocks hitting a particular price. Let us say you are buying some Reliance. Oh my God, going to get sued. So let me go for a safe stock. Interview ready stocks. Yeah, sure. Uh, let us say you're buying some Zomato, some stock, and if the price is like 100, then buy. So somebody needs, like the order execution needs to be able to tell, I'm firstly interested in Zomato stock because some user is interested in it. And the second thing is 100 is the price. So a brute force way will be just to say, this is a list of stocks that I'm interested in. Anytime there's an update, please tell me, price tracker. Uh, yeah. I mean, price tracker, very interesting. Uh, what if order executor and price tracker are pinging each other? Or rather, order executor is continuously getting updates every 10 milliseconds, 50 or 100 milliseconds. Is that a reasonable thing to do? 10 times per second, because the
Why
amount
would
of
order
data that is going to be exchanged.
executioner need to talk to price tracker at all? Because I'm talking about order status over here. Price tracker is just taking care of the prices.
Oh, the order
I
status. Okay, okay. No, I was
the
thinking of limit order and I went in some other direction. Sorry for
Yeah,
that.
I'm talking about transactions. So basically, these transactions were made. So the exchange needs to tell the order executioner that okay, now these transactions were made. You need to update the trade book, or you need to tell the user that your order is successful. You need to update the portfolio.
Okay, okay. If that is the case, I think if you make a call request, you should be able to get a response. Is your concern that you're going to be sending many orders together,
No,
or
no. My concern is
are you?
that see, I placed the order right now, but the transaction might happen after 2 hours or maybe tomorrow. So, how like are you going to send? How is the server going to update? Is there going to be a notification service? Like I don't know.
So just to
Whenever there's a
clarify, Kirti, the limit. Yeah, just to clarify, if there is a limit order that is being placed, you can directly make that order on the stock exchange. Also, it has the capability to do the triggers and everything by itself, or you have to do it.
sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you repeat that?
So the difference between the market order and limit order is based on a trigger.
Right.
Who
You
finds out the
tell
trigger?
exchange only
Who
does that.
executes the order?
Exchange.
Exchange does that.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you
then
are
life is easy.
sending.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It is easy, but it is also hard in terms of updating the status because so you have
Okay,
told the
okay, okay.
exchange that place the order. Now, whenever it happens, it can. There's also something called GTT that has recently come. That means that even if the market closes today, like it is possible that you place the order after say 5 days, 10 days, 1 year down the line, like whenever you want. So whenever that order gets executed, the service has to tell our services that what the order has been placed, update the status, update your portfolio, update your trade book. So
Okay, okay. So
how
I
is that
guess some sort
communication?
of identifier needs to be there. You need a order that you sent to the stock exchange. The stock exchange needs to have that ID somewhere so that they can give you a response.
Yeah,
It
I was
can't be
just
a.
thinking maybe there is another service that is basically order tracker, you can say. So, whenever an order was placed that is not completed till now, basically a pending order that is placed in this. So, basically, there is like its own DB that, okay, these are the pending orders. And now this keeps polling the exchange, so there has to be a polling mechanism over here, just thinking out loud. And it keeps asking, what is the status of my order? What is the status of my order? Once it happens, and maybe polling can also be very smart that, if I know that, it is nowhere near the price or maybe some calculation, I'm not sure. maybe that maybe polling can happen at same intervals for all the stocks, or maybe at different intervals for different stocks.
Yeah, that is also interesting. Yeah, you can have a piece of software which is doing that. Yeah, that's actually quite smart because what you're doing is you're also seeing roughly are you even close to finishing the order, and then you have a state management that you're doing here, which you would need to do in the order execution service anyway. So it's better to separate out this part of the logic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tomorrow, even if the exchange wants to talk, you can probably send the. Uh, I mean, if the exchange can tell you that this order completed, it's an asynchronous update, and the order tracker can take that. Yeah.
So till now we have three services that are talking to the exchange. One was the price tracker, who's just updating all the latest prices from the exchange. One is order executioner, which is placing the orders, and one is order tracker, which is going to track the pending orders that are not completed. And once it is completed, so there is going to be a DB over here. So once it is completed, it is going to like update everything, and it is going to delete it from this particular DB.
Okay. Okay. I wonder how they do this in reality. I'm sure there must be just one connection to the exchange, and all of these services must be trying to talk to that one person. I mean, otherwise you will buy three, or maybe they give you multiple connections. They probably say, yeah, take a
Maybe
thousand
like
connections or something.
yeah, maybe like a limit on the number of open connections, but yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. True.
Yep. Or maybe we can have like a proxy in between that is taking all the three requests and just sending it. For now,
Yeah,
let's assume
that's what
that
I thought.
it
That
can
that
be
is
more.
probably the case.
Yeah.
Yes, let us assume that we have a lot of cash.
Yep.
We got funded. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Two or three connections. Yeah, this seems like a pretty good starting point for us to have a watch list, a portfolio. We are actually able to execute orders, and the orders can then be tracked also. I guess the order tracker can then tell the portfolio service that this is what has happened. Uh, the watch list is being is tracking. I guess price tracker is talking to the watch list service.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
I've made the services in a very haphazard manner. It looks very dirty. Should I like
no, no,
make a clearer diagram
no.
or?
I think it's fine. I think watchlist can probably be inside price tracker, maybe. But then price tracker, I mean, if you want to totally separate it out, I guess you can. Watchlist can be outside of price tracker also. Uh, for which user, what kind of stocks do they want to see? Yeah, sure. I guess separate thing is also fine. We talked about caching. We talked about what kind of database do we want to use. Databases with transaction support. A relational database is a good idea here. Uh, I think we've covered almost all the points that we talked about. Anything which is missing, Kirti?
Uh, your point was correct that watch list is going to be very closely related to the price tracker. So I'm just moving it up over here. That watch list is going to be very very closely related to price. Sorry, I'm just thinking it out loud that okay, should it be different or should it be same as the price tracker? But okay, for now it is different. But yeah, it can be coupled together.
Portfolio probably is close to order tracker. Yeah,
Yes.
but that's also
Yeah.
fine.
Yes, but both have their own cache or maybe a different cache. I wrote them together for cache, but okay.
Yeah,
Portfolio
yeah.
is going to be here. Okay.
Sometimes what I've noticed is some of these services they have one Redis cluster, which all the services together use. They have their own keys like watchlist underscore this. So then watchlist always knows that which key do I want to hit,
Yes, yes.
or it has its own shard. That is interesting. Okay. Okay. So one thing which is quite interesting is the watch list is extremely popular as a service. So we talked about caching, but despite that, there's going to be probably lakhs of users. There's hundreds of thousands of users who are concurrently watching different stocks in the watch list. So
Right.
this service needs continuous updates. With so many people. So what can we do there? How can so many people connect to one service at the same time?
See, actually, There are, say, on an average 5 to 10 watch lists. Let's say more number, say 10 watch lists per user,
Okay.
right?
Per user. Okay.
Yeah. So say, let's say how many number of users we want to take. 1 million, 10 million. How much do you want to take right now?
1 million is huge. Yeah.
1 million is good enough, right? So
Yeah.
10 million requests every day, like we can say 9:30 to 3:30, like whatever market hours we have to. This is like more, right? And I think it
10
is,
million is a lot. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. And it is updated very less. It is read a lot. So cache was one thing, yes, but still the number of requests is a lot. So sharding, like, is that what you're suggesting? Like shard according to the number of users?
Yeah, that will also help, I think. Yeah. So different parts of the watch list have different. So you're horizontally scaling. Okay. Yeah. So maybe
So,
all users having an even number go to one server, or all users having odd number go to another server. Okay, yeah, sure. 50%.
right, right. Also, there's going to be like a different DB for watch lists, right? So,
Yeah.
this DB will also, now this DB could be relational or could be NoSQL also, actually, because
Yeah.
it is basically, so there's a watch list name, so that is the key, and based on that, like, there's a list. So, what do you think? It
Hmm.
should be SQL or NoSQL?
Yeah. I don't think it needs transaction support. I don't think there are any
And because the
integrity
latency
checks
is
that
a
we
very,
have to.
very important part over here, we need it to be very fast. So
Hmm.
we could have this in NoSQL, like, because this is like going to be used a lot. We need like very frequent
Yeah.
and highly scalable. So NoSQL,
Yep. The sharding that we talked about is then inherent in it. Okay.
yes.
Okay. How do we like tell that these users, you 50 users, you are interested in this update? So price tracker, when on price tracker we get a stock, like a list of stocks and the change prices. So we have to see the for every stock who are the users who are interested in this update, and then we'll have to actually make a message for that user.
So watch list service is one of the services that would have subscribed to the message, to this message queue, right?
Probably, yeah.
Uh, So is this message queue only going to take care of the, that which stocks do, like, we need to update the watch list for, or how do we actually go about it?
I guess price tracker. Uh, what is we talked about 1K stocks being there, or 10K stocks, 10,000 stocks. Okay,
10,000.
10,000 stocks is okay, and so even if there's a single update having 10,000 stock price values inside it is a big event. I guess it can directly talk to watchlist because watchlist needs to know. Or yeah, you can subscribe to an event also. In which case, watchlist is basically pulling the events from a message queue, and when it sees that the event is related to it, like you say, okay, maybe each event has 100 stock changes, so it goes through every stock. It says, okay, for stock number one, 10 users are interested. For stock number two, 10 other users are interested, and overall the intersection is 5 users. So I have to send messages to overall 10 plus 10 minus 5, because intersection of 5 double counting ho gaya tha, 15 users. So
So you are
this is
essentially
the kind of
talking
logic I'm
about
talking.
how price tracker is going to work. Uh, so you're saying like price tracker in short is also going to be charted based on the number of stocks.
I was thinking price tracker can actually make a event and publish the. Let's say it takes a big update event from the stock exchange, breaks it into 10 or 50 pieces to keep the event sizes small, and publishes it on this in this queue.
I'll tell
Okay,
you what my
watch
problem
list
over here
picks up
is
each event.
that
Yeah.
watch list is like needs to be updated almost instantly. Like the latency has to be very very less, because that is what, like,
Okay.
people are tracking, that because that are the stocks that matter to them the most. So the latency has to be very
Right.
very less, and whenever we use an event driven structure over here, an event driven
Mhm.
architecture, the latency is going to take a hit.
Mhm.
I am not sure if
So,
we can afford that in as important service as a watch list. Do I
I
make
mean,
sense?
watch list will 100% be eventually consistent. This I can tell you because
It
every
is,
user has their own 10 favorite
but
stocks.
I don't know if eventual consistency is good enough, because it has to be highly consistent. Like,
It doesn't really need to be highly consistent. It can be available. The reason being that I am a user. I won't make millisecond decisions. I make decisions on seconds, minutes, even hours. So, or let's say minutes. Let's keep it to minutes. Uh,
actually,
the price tracker, when it says that,
traders do make decisions in terms of seconds, but yeah, not milliseconds. So I think it's fine.
yeah, milliseconds is not possible. Seconds, you can make a limit order then if you are a millisecond person. The,
No. So I am
the algorithm will
okay.
then. Hmm.
We are not designing for intraday trading, so it's fine. I think we don't have to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so the thing is, because if you have millions of users connected, you have to basically send a notification to millions of users. And those users, by the time they get the notification, the
Right.
data is too stale. It's too old. So eventual consistency should be good enough here because by the time you are getting the data, it's too old. Uh, like that takes milliseconds. So latency of double the latency, adding a few more milliseconds is not going to hurt. So in that
Okay.
case, you can have a event driven architecture here, but you don't necessarily need to. Price tracker can also ping watch list every second saying that, this is the change, this is the change. And watch list can take those changes because again, watch list can't just fire messages broadcasted to everybody. It has to go through each stock and say this stock is in the watch list of this user, so this user needs to be notified. And when it's done through all stocks, it might see this user has three updates, three stocks that have been updated. So I have to send a bulk, like I have to put them all three of the stocks together, the changes together, and send one update to that user. I can't send three updates, otherwise that will also choke up my bandwidth, and it will. They might be on like phones or something, so I can't take that much bandwidth. I can't take that much processing, so that will be the consideration.
One thing I just thought of, that since price tracker has to talk to watchlist, and since this communication has to happen really fast, and both are our internal services, probably this communication can happen over TCP. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Keep retrying, or you can have. Yeah, I mean TCP. TCP. The thing is, it's interesting. Yeah, if you have it over UDP, is there a problem? Like, does watchlist care about older prices? Does it care about ordering, or does it want the latest price? If it gets it good, if
no,
it doesn't get
watchlist
it, too
doesn't care
bad.
about any of that. Market depth
Yeah.
and, like, stock analysis, like that is going to be different service. I do not
Mhm.
think that watchlist cares about the past. It just needs the latest
So
data. So it
then I
does
guess
make
UDP
sense
is
to
good. Yeah.
have it over. Yeah, you did. Fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, that was interesting.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yep.
Now,
So let's kind of validate our architecture once by just running a sample request and seeing how it comes back to us.
sure. So we are starting from buy sell, like,
Yeah, yeah, we can. That's the most important one. Like, if you can buy and
yep.
sell, yeah, sure, this is probably going to work.
Yep. So the request goes to the order manager. It goes to the validation service. Validation service tells that, okay, whether it is possible or not. So validation service is going to talk to the user management service, get all the details that, okay, validate, see if the user has the right, if it has funds, stocks, whatever. Validation service returns the response. we go to auto executioner, and then we go to our exchange and we say that okay, place the order, just place the order, and the order, the like it is just going to tell, exchange is going to tell that okay, order placed or not. That's it. So the status doesn't have to be updated instantaneously. Once the order is placed on the exchange, we are going to update the tracker that okay, there is a pending request now, right? There's a pending order, and this is the order
Yeah.
ID, and it has been placed to the exchange basically. So now this what order tracker is going to do is it is going to keep polling the exchange that okay, what is the status, what is the status, what is the status, is it updated? Once it is updated, I'm going to kick it out of this DB, and I'm going to start updating my actual relational DB, which is going to basically help the portfolio. Uh, what else? So when I update
Yeah,
my
yeah, I think
DB,
that's pretty
yeah,
much it.
trade book, order book, all of that is updated. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes total sense. The trade book, order book is also updated according to how much of the order actually went through for that order
Yep.
ID. Yep. Awesome. Um, Amazing, Kirti. I think this was a really detailed, high-level design of a stockbroker app like Zerodha. Guys, if you like this, please do hit the like button and do follow Kirti. Subscribe to her channel; it's in the description. And she creates videos like this quite often. She also creates videos on data structures and algorithms. Also, mock interviews, super useful, super interesting. Thank you so much, Kirti, for making this possible. This was a very exciting session for me because it's been a while that I have looked at a system which is totally new. I hope to see you again soon.
This was definitely very challenging for both of us, and something very different that we did as a YouTube educator. That this is what I try to do to keep it interesting and try to do stuff that is not there much, to create content that is different but still helpful. So this definitely gets into that category, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me. And guys, also, if you are buying Interview Ready, use my coupon code. You'll get more discount. Yes.
All right, folks, thank you so much. Until next time, then, see you. Have a great day. Bye bye.